trying to go viral is a waste of your time. You're not trying to go viral. What you're trying to do is gather an audience of people who resonate with what you do and what you say and will likely be a client.
If Kylie Jenner decides to launch another business selling tequila, it might blow up too.
Whenever I see a post, I'm just like, that was written by AI. That sounds like a generic fucking robot that wrote that. And in a world where so many people are doing that, the last thing you want to do is blend in with the noise.
Welcome to Scale Simple. I'm Sebastian and I'm here with Jeff. Here we talk about scaling your coaching business to 7 or 8 figures while actually keeping the profit. Because here's the thing, most companies sacrifice 70 to 80% of their revenue to bloated ad spend, big teams, or tools they don't need. So we show you how to keep most of your money using hybrid social funnels where organic content and paid ads work together, not against your profit. That's what we talk about here. We share all the specific strategies and what's working right now that you can implement into your business. Today, we're going to talk about some content. I think everyone in our audience is trying to figure out how to create content.
Yeah, I think it's a sticking point for a lot of coaches. I think a lot of coaches struggle with creation, ideation, what to post, when to post. Should I do reels? Should I do written post? Like, what should I do? So I think if we do a deep dive into that, then that'll be useful.
What's really important is there's so much out there, and we talk about this a lot. There's so much advice out there, and we need to make sure that the advice is matching the level where you're at. I think it's best if we tie that to the revenue level or starting point. So let's say you are a coach, consultant, online business owner, and you're making around 10, 20K in revenue a month, and you have below 10K followers. You don't have many followers on Instagram right now, right?
No.
So it's even my personal account, I don't know. I think I'm a little over 10K, but to prove a point as well, it doesn't really matter how many followers you have. And I think this is what we should break down in this conversation as well. How you can, like, I know you sign a lot of clients off your Instagram following as well. How people can, with less than, say, with a couple hundred followers, start signing high ticket clients. Yeah, let's say you are in this bucket right now. What content should you be creating?
First thing is laying the foundation. I know we've talked about this before, but trying to go viral is a waste of your time. You're not trying to go viral. What you're trying to do is gather an audience of people who resonate with what you do and what you say and will likely be or have the potential to be a client. That doesn't involve going viral. Yeah, and I know people with tiny Instagram accounts. Mine is tiny. Mine is less than 1,400 people. And I've signed clients from my Instagram account. The purpose is not building a massive audience. It's building a targeted audience. The way I do that, and full transparency, I'm a little more focused on growth at the moment because you do need growth content. And I think this is probably worth mentioning. You essentially need 3 types of content. You need growth content, you need conversion content, and you need sales-based content. Break those 3 down real quick. Growth content designed to get eyeballs and followers. Conversion content designed to turn followers into like fans, designed to get somebody who's just following to go, oh shit, I actually like what this guy's talking about. We'll go. And then sales-based content is designed to transition that fan into like, okay, I'm kind of at the point where I've made a decision. I want to work with this person. So those would be the 3 types of content. I think if you're under 200 followers, right, you've got a tiny Instagram account, I would weight the amount of content in favor of growth for a period of time until you hit 1,000 or a couple of thousand or whatever. But I would focus more heavily on growth. Then I would focus on more conversion, but I would still do growth content because you constantly want to be bringing in a new pool of people. I would weight it more heavily on the conversion side of things. And then once you've got good eyeballs, good followers, and you're starting to build a bank of fans through your conversion content, I would start to focus on sales-based content, which would be posting things like client wins, before and afters, that kind of stuff to really get people to the understanding like, okay, I've seen some of their client wins. I know that they can get great results. And the way I help my clients do that is not to try and reinvent the wheel. And I know that coaches struggle with this. I've struggled with it as a coach. I'm like, what do I talk about? Do I just pick a random subject and start talking about it? And the answer is no, you don't. You rely on what's already working. Okay. And you can use a piece of software like Viral Finder, super inexpensive. It's $50 for 3 months. It's really cheap, but they also have a free version as well. If you're on a Uber budget, they have a free version and you can do so many searches a day. And you can just use Viral Finder to find viral style videos. And again, we're not chasing virality, but you can utilize it to find people in your niche who have already posted content similar to yours or similar to the kind of content you want to post that has performed really well. And then all you do is you take that concept, that idea, look at their hook, look at their visual hook. Was it a 2-camera? Was it a podcast kind of clip? What was it? And just recreate it, but with your own view. So you're not stealing it. You'll copy the hook pretty close. You might even copy the visual hook pretty close. But essentially, you're going to then put your spin on the subject. You're going to put your flavor, your take on the idea, and you're going to post it. And you're just going to keep doing that over and over again. And I think this is the big thing, is a lot of coaches just desperately try to reinvent the wheel. And when you're below a certain level, you just can't. You are better off just posting what has already worked. Those are the first things I get anybody who's got a smaller audience. Those are the first things I start getting them to do. Build your audience, build your conversion-based content. And by conversion-based content, I mean, you're going to start to introduce maybe more contrarian views. You're going to change their subject. So for example, I had a coaching call with a client this morning. He's in the real estate space. So he coaches people on how to make money in real estate. And he said, I've got the growth content down, and he's killing it, by the way. But how do I do the conversion content? And I said, you teach a very specific method of how to make money with real estate that doesn't involve buying houses. It doesn't involve trying to do them up. It doesn't involve renting them out to tenants. So I would start a contrarian piece of content with the hook, perhaps buying and renting a property is the worst way to make money with real estate. Here's what I would do instead. So the hook is very contrarian. Specifically to people that are like, oh man, I was like trying to get a deposit to buy my first rental property. So the hook is strong. The hook is powerful. You're generating a contrarian point of view to what they think they might be doing. And that's what I mean by kind of belief shifting content, which is that conversion content, that middle bucket.
Tell me more about growth content. What are you doing right now to grow your account?
So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm pretty focused on just creating organically. And we'll get into how you can utilize paid content, maybe in another podcast, because that's a topic all of its own. But I'm focused pretty hard on growth. So what I'm doing is I'm using Viral Finder. I'm finding other people in the coaching consulting space who produce similar content, or at least they're in a niche adjacent to mine. So maybe they are a branding agency. That would be what I call an adjacent niche. It's not exactly my niche, so it's very simple.
Should we give people a quick demo?
Yeah. Let's do it.
This will be useful for everyone that just signs up Viral Finder and I'm not affiliated with this tool in any kind of way. In fact, I'm currently building our own tool for our clients to use. So that's going to be popping up probably soon. But for now, why don't you want to take us through what you do specifically?
The first thing I do is I would go to Instagram and I would scroll the feed until I find somebody in my niche, or I would go to the search function of Instagram and I would look for a related keyword. So if I teach people how to make money with real estate, I would go to Instagram. And if I don't know who my competition is, right? So assuming that you have no idea who your competition is, I would just go and type real estate or property or something like that. And I would start scrolling the feed until I find somebody talking about how to make money with property, how to make money with real estate.
So here we have someone that talks about real estate.
Yep. So what we want to do is we want to take their username over into Viral Finder.
So now we're in Viral Finder. And we have Ryan Pineda pulled up and his videos that we have here on the screen. What do we do next?
So what you want to do next is you want to sort those videos typically by the most engagement, right? Because engagement is a really important metric. And the reason that is an important metric is because you don't just necessarily want to copy the video with the most views, because Ryan Pineda is pretty big. He will have done brand deals. He may have videos there that have been boosted with paid advertising. And typically a brand deal or a paid boosted post will have high views, but low engagement. So we want to filter for the most engagement. And then we probably want to go back maybe 6 months so that we find the most popular content with the highest engagement over the last 6 months.
Okay. And do we select a post type? Do we take image, video, album?
It depends on what kind of material you are most comfortable making. So if you're most comfortable with posts, you don't like being on camera, fine, do posts. If you're comfortable being on camera, do reels.
That's a really important point. Okay, cool.
What you would do is you would just select the video. And if it's talking about something random, like you can just skip it and go to the next one. But if it's talking about something that is niche relevant to the kind of topic you would talk about, then what you then need to do is analyze that video. What hook did he use? What visual hook, if any, did he use? And what kind of content was it? You need to start thinking, okay, was this growth content? Was this conversion content? Or was this sales-based content?
Okay.
And I would literally go and remake that video. Copy the hook, not exactly, but make it very similar. Copy the visual hook, not exactly, but make it very similar. And then put your flavor on it. If you think, what Ryan Pineda is talking about is not actually what I would do and not what I would teach, then great, just morph it into what you would do and what you would teach. And because this has performed well in your niche, there's a good chance it's going to perform well again, because the algorithm is learning, okay, this performed well, it got lots of eyeballs. Bearing in mind, every algorithm's only job is to really keep somebody on the platform. That's all they want to do. It's attention is the new currency, quote Gary Vee. But essentially, you want to then remake that and post it. Here's the kind of caveat to this. It is going to take a minute. Do you know what I mean? Don't expect to post one video and it blow up and go viral. You're going to have to train the algorithm that you're here for the long haul, you're here for the long term, that you post regularly. And I would urge everybody to get up to one post per day, at least 5 days a week. And using this solves that problem. Because normally when you tell a client to do that, you just got to post one a day, Monday through Friday. They're like, oh my God, I don't know what to post. I can't write anything. I don't know how to write a hook. Now you don't have to think about any of that stuff, because you can just go and model what has already proven to work and just build the habit of being consistent. And this is something that I've had to learn too. It's like, you can't just post 25 videos a day for 3 days and then expect to take 2 weeks off, come back and it be okay. The algorithm wants to see that there is consistency behind you showing up regularly. So if that's 3 posts a week, do 3 posts a week, but do it every week. Don't skip. If you can, more is better. Think about this. More shitty content is not better, because shitty content is still shitty content. And remember, we're trying to attract people to our profile. When they hit our profile, they're going to scroll our content. The last thing you want to do is for somebody to scroll your profile and go, following this person was a mistake, I'm out. So you've got to post good content. And the way you post good content is using something like Viral Finder to make sure that you're creating stuff that is already proven to do well. That's really it. That's the super simple bullet pointed short form strategy to growth, conversion, and sales. That's what you should be doing. Focus on growth initially, switch to producing more conversion with it maybe 80-20 right now, 80% conversion, 20% growth, and then start to layer in some sales-based content and get yourself to a blend where it's 33% growth, conversion, sales. Start with growth, build into conversion, introduce sales, and get to a point where you're balancing those 3 types of content.
Yeah.
That's it. Every client of mine that is currently doing this is killing it. Absolutely killing it. They've got leads, they've got people in the DMs, they're filling up webinars without using crazy amounts of ad spend on Meta and stuff like that. And the guy I was telling you about in real estate, he was previously spending 10, 15K a month on ads, and his ad spend is now down to about 2K from 10 or 15K, just because he's layering on this kind of more organic approach. Same amount of leads, like 5 times less ad spend.
What about conversion content? How do we turn followers into fans?
Yeah, so the conversion content is where you've got to add in sort of contrarian hooks. And what I mean by contrarian hooks is the example I gave you a minute ago. So for the guy in real estate, your hook needs to be something that challenges their worldview. Take fitness. Another one of my clients is in the fitness space. If you do fitness-based content, then you want to say something like, here's why excessive cardio is the worst thing for fat loss.
Yeah, or here's why going to the gym every day is actually bad for you if you want to gain muscle.
Yeah, just some kind of contrarian hook. Now, you like that hook can't be bullshit. Do you know what I mean? You have to be able to come with receipts. You've got to be able to show up with evidence to back up your claim. Initially, what you're trying to do is you're trying to gain the attention. You're trying to introduce the hook. You're trying to say something that makes somebody go, huh, all right, well, let me listen to this because that was controversial.
Go pick the biggest guy in your niche. If you're in business content, like for example, if you're helping businesses scale in any kind of way, take for example, Alex Hormozi, Dan Martell, whatever. If you're in coaching, maybe you go take Coach Blue or whoever the biggest guys are. Go look at what they're doing and see if you can take a contrarian spin. So if you're doing business content and Alex Hormozi is saying, you got to follow up after 2 minutes and dial everyone, send 10,000 cold emails a day, you may want to think, what do you do? How can you get results for your clients that is currently different than sending 10,000 emails a day and following up after 2 minutes? And maybe that's even invasive and annoying for the type of business that you're doing, right? It's worked for him. Maybe it works for other people, but possibly you have another take. And so then you can take a spin on that and you can say, here's why following up in under 5 minutes is the stupidest thing you can do. And then you put your spin to it and you explain why. Maybe it's because you're selling super high ticket luxury cars or homes, and these people don't want to have your stupid sales phone call after 5 minutes, but they want to have a pristine luxury experience of how you handle them. And I think that is the easiest way to, you take the biggest guy in the room
and you do contrarian takes to their content.
The other thing that you can do with some of the big players in your space is you can do reaction-based content. You can screen record a clip of a podcast that they appeared on, saying something that maybe you agree with or maybe something you don't agree with, and then you can layer a top and bottom video of you reacting to their content. And that is often a really good way because you're essentially authority jacking. When somebody scrolls the feed and they see it's whoever's face, Dan Pineda or Alex Hormozi, you are leveraging their authority and then putting your own spin or your own take. Maybe you agree with them. And the end of the video, it's just what Alex said was 100% accurate because of this and this. So if you want more content like this, shoot me a follow. Something as simple as that. Maybe it's a take that you disagree with after you've done the split screen and they've said whatever they're going to say. You could then intro yourself by saying, here's why I think that's the worst idea. And that's what's called authority jacking, which means you are utilizing somebody else's authority to get eyeballs on your stuff. So lots of different types of content, not different types. Like I wouldn't want people to make the mistake of thinking I've got to film vlogs and I've got to do this and I've got to do that. No, keep like the format similar. And I tell you what is most useful and what I've started to do a lot is I film all of my shots in the same place. And the reason for that is because when we talk a lot about building a parasocial relationship, you want to build familiarity, not just with you, but with the kind of environment that you're in. Some people only shoot shots outside. Some people only do shots in their car. Some people only do shots in a studio. But when you're scrolling the feed and you see their content, you immediately stop on it because it's instantly familiar. Before you've heard a word that they've got to say, you go, oh, I recognize that. And the brain craves familiarity. And I went wrong on this for the longest time. I would try all kinds of different types of content. And really what I should have been doing is something Russell Brunson coined years ago, which is mastering the mundane. And actually making your content look similar every single time, gives your feed a nice aesthetic, but also builds familiarity with your audience. So they recognize you, the environment, the kind of set that you're sat in, the kind of audio that you have, all of that kind of stuff. The types of music that you use. People are like, oh, I can't use that tune again because I've used it already. Dude, no, use that tune again because it's building familiarity with your content.
For everyone that may be not familiar with this is how big content creators take it to the next level. They don't only film in the same place, but they use something called color grading, right? If you're anyone familiar with professional cinema photography or just professional video recording, you'll record the video in something called S-Log or without the colors, and you'll have your specific filters that are applied to your content every time. I'm not even doing that at the moment, but I think that's the next step of having very unique, specific content tailored to you that people can recognize. And I think another good topic at this point is I have many clients asking me, some of which are afraid to show their face or sometimes show their kids, right? Which is a complete fair point.
Yeah.
Like, dude, if you don't feel comfortable showing your kids, don't show your kids. I think for everyone that is in between this question, if it's beneficial or not to show your face or to show your kids or whatever the question may be, you got to take this back to where we are today. 2025, everyone's using AI to create stuff and everyone thinks everything is fake or made up or done by AI, right? And we're in a trust recession. People do not trust you anymore. The more you can do, and it's not mandatory that you show your kids or something, but the more you can do to show you are a human being, you are more or less who you say you are, right? In that environment where you are, that you are real. You maybe are a normal person. You're not some kind of psychopath, right? You have a wife, a kids, home. You do normal things that other people do too. You go to the gym, you work out, whatever. And the more you can show this, right? The more people will respect and accept that situation. And they will say, oh, this guy's a family man too. I trust him because of that, or I can relate to him because of that. And the same goes for your face. You do not need to show your face to be successful. You can use carousel slides or Canva images or whatever. There's 100 options. However, if you're trying to not just build your business, but also personal brand to get people to recognize you, because maybe it's not just your business today, but maybe you want to have something for any kind of business that you want to do in the future. If you look up to all the people on top of social media, what all of these has accomplished is they don't just have one business, right? They have several businesses and then they go into politics and then they do this and they do that. Doors are open for them no matter what they want to do. If Kylie Jenner decides to launch another business selling tequila, it might blow up too. It might not blow up to be a massive success, but she's going to sell millions. We can guarantee that is because people know her face and they trust her because of that. And if she wants to do something else besides cosmetics or whatever she does, it will probably work extensively too.
Attention is the new currency.
And think of it this way, right? The more you get people to recognize your content, the more you'll have people giving you attention, which results to more people knowing you, trusting you, liking you, and essentially buying from you. Think of it this way. Everyone that doesn't like your face for some reason or whatever, they're not going to watch it. You would not be listening to this if you would hate my face. You would not be here in minute, 20 in this podcast listening to me. You would not be one of those. Think of it this way. Go back and think of like whose YouTube videos or whose social media posts do you watch that you cannot stand them. You've probably already unliked it or unfollowed or whatever. You move on with your life. Even haters probably like your face. They do troll comments and whatever. And
that's just the bottom line of being on the internet, man. You're always going to get some dickhead.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. Haters scale. With scale comes more scale of your haters.
Dude, if you're not taking arrows in the back, then you're not planting your flag, which is probably the other thing that we could talk about with regards to content briefly, is I think a lot of people, and again, I fell into this trap too. A lot of people I don't want to say shit in a video because I might offend somebody. And it's, dude, if you say shit normally, say shit in your video. Because if you were to attract somebody who thinks you're a super wholesome, go to church every Sunday kind of person, and then they get into your coaching program and you're effing and jeffing all over the place, they're going to not resonate with you and you're going to not resonate with them. So just as much as content is designed to bring the people that will resonate with you to you, it is also designed to push away the people who will not resonate with you. And I think a lot of people miss that. They're like, oh, well, I need to be a certain character. No, dude, just be you. If you say fuck, don't hide from that. Be okay with that, because the people that don't like it would not have a good time in your coaching program when they get inside and you're letting all these expletives go. So be you, whatever version of weird that looks like. And I think everybody's fucking weird to some extent. Whatever kind of version of weird you are, just be okay with that being you.
Yeah. And sometimes it can change, right? I remember this one YouTuber, I forgot his name, but he was saying, I started off all my YouTube videos saying fuck and shit and whatever. And eventually, I don't know, there was this guy in the comments and he was like, dude, I love your content and I'm a dad and I'd love to show my son your content, but I feel it's weird and I can't because you use so much profanity. And then he's, dude, that touched me. And I was a father, I was becoming a dad at the same time. And I changed my mind. I stopped doing it in my content, which is completely fine too, right? If you
100%.
Whatever, how you evolve over life and maybe your content suddenly reaches way more people and you decide to switch gears, do things differently.
Yeah. I think the subtle shift is because that touched that YouTuber quite deeply. I bet that he didn't just make the shift with his content. He made the shift in his life. I'm about to be a dad. I need to cuss less. When he shows up in his content cussing less, it's still going to be authentically him. Yeah. He's made a decision in his life to cuss less. So that's what I'm saying. Just be you. If you cuss normally, it's okay. I think that's important. You can't play a character. You can't try and be somebody that you're not. So just be authentically you.
What about politics? Should you talk about politics in your content?
Okay. I avoid talking about politics. It's not for any reason other than it doesn't really factor in our world. It doesn't factor in my world. But whichever side of the political aisle you fall on, if you start doing that, you can probably expect to lose roughly 50% of your followers, right?
Politics is also very similar to the cult of polarizing content. There'll be people that will sign with you just for the sake of you talking about Trump, but there'll also be people that will never sign with you for the sake of talking about Trump.
But you should be okay with that. It's okay to be controversial and it's okay to plant your flag in the mound of the hill that you wholeheartedly believe in. That is okay too. Just like using expletives. Some people think I'm not watching that content because he swears. Okay, great. Then my content is not for you. It's for the people that go, I like this guy. He's real. He's just a real person and it feels like him. And the point of content is the authenticity that comes from you. Just use the easiest example. If you swear, don't force it into your content. But if you would say it normally and naturally, then say it normally and naturally. Because if you don't, if you try and pretend to be somebody that you're not, then your delivery is going to feel super clunky. What you're saying is not going to feel like it's authentically. And I think that's important in the age of AI to be able to make real world connection with people. People are very intuitive. And we've spoken a lot about sales and stuff like that over the years. People pick up on when you are not being genuine, when you're being disingenuous. People will pick up on that and they won't necessarily consciously think about it, but subconsciously they'll be like, Yeah, I don't know. Just something I don't really trust about that guy. And that is an indication that you're not being authentic.
It's funny, no, because I think the AI part is really interesting in this whole thing is what do we all hate about AI?
It's not real.
It's not real, but the real thing, what we actually hate about AI is this generalistic view of fluff. Even if you tell it to be polarizing, it will still try to wrap that around in something politically correct and be like, yeah, you could say something like that. And that is how you become average, how you become completely lost in the sea of thousands, millions of pieces of content created every hour, and people do not listen to you, right? The way you stand out, you get more growth on social media is by picking your battles, being authentic and being real. This is why bad AI content also does so horribly on social media. And I know there's many different angles to this. There might be some people in the comments sharing case studies of people that grew to millions of followers with AI only. The difference to these people is they train this AI very heavily on a person or a company that is already very polarizing and has very clear views, values, things to say, things not to say, which then is being by the AI to continue that conversation in that style. You need to develop it.
Yeah,
right?
but then the point then is that the AI isn't talking like AI anymore. It's talking like the person. So again, in a sea where everybody is trying to write posts using social media, like my advice is, for God's sake, don't do that. Because you, like nowadays, because AI speaks in a certain way, and whenever I see a post, I'm just like, that was written by AI. That does not sound like a person. That sounds like a generic fucking robot that wrote that. And in a world where so many people are doing that, the last thing you want to do is blend in with the noise. You want to be able to stand out. And the way you stand out is by being you.
100%.
Hopefully this was useful to somebody out there in podcast land.